And we are live. We are live with Michael Metrok in the chat. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And today, this is the second part in our series called What Ike Reads. The series is called What Ike Reads. And today we're going to be covering a book called The War of Art. Perhaps you may recognize that it's a play on words, perhaps, on the book The Art of War. But this is called The War of Art. And I'm going to give a quick prologue, and then we're going to play the song Battle Within, which is our theme song. Check it out, or check out my band on Spotify, so on and so forth. We will be dropping the links. This is called The War of Art, and basically it is a book about procrastination, how to battle procrastination. He's talking about it from a particular point of view, from the point of view of creative endeavors. He is a writer. Obviously, he wrote the book. That'll make him a writer, right? And he's talking about a general topic, though, but from the lens of a writer, talking about procrastination, writer's block, the inability to delay gratification, self-sabotage, okay? All those other kinds of things we're going to be talking about the book. It's a pretty small book, a pretty short book, okay? It's going to be different from yesterday's stream about the world as will and idea, which is a pretty heavy book on metaphysics and philosophy. So I'm going to be alternating between things that go on the heavy side and things that are lighter and airier and simpler, more relatable, short and to the point. So again, this is a book called The War of Art by Steven Pressfield, and it's about how to battle procrastination, a short book with 3 parts where he talks about procrastination, which he refers to as resistance, defines it, looks at it from different angles, different aspects, how it's related to many things that we are otherwise quite familiar with. And then he talks about how do you deal with it? And then he talks about the muse. The muse is a concept, I believe, from the ancient Greeks. The muse is that spirit that gives you inspiration, okay? So how do you tap into inspiration and get the work done and fight procrastination is basically what this book is about. And we'll be doing a review today. I'm just giving a quick preamble here. And now I'm going to go ahead and play the song Battle Within. And then we'll come back and we'll start talking about, and maybe I'll play both songs so that we have people come in. Why don't you guys enjoy both songs, both Battle Within and also run our theme songs here as people come in, and then we'll come in and get right into the meat and the bones of the War of Art. Thank you very much.
On the shore, relentless in the war, the legions in our hearts, shed waters in our balls, the spirit and the flesh, the emotions that arrest, the cerebral will contest, propelling the unrest. Preachers and bandits with means underhanded, the teachers pedantic and lack understanding. So sweep out the sand with the broom in your hand, stand up, make we burn Babylon. Guess I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. Cause I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. With the semblance feelings of a blaze. With gratitude and rage, we touch another page with delirious delight. Impervious to light, this vitality and might encourages the flight. Preachers and bandits with means underhanded, the teachers pedantic and lack understanding. So sweep out the sand with the broom in your hand. Stand up, make we born Babylon. Yes, I can give the world to you, the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. Yes, I can give the world to you, the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. But the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. Guess I can give the world to you, the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching. The spirit and the women fight the battle within. In the den of iniquity, vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment, what a pity. Tomorrow never certain, what dwells behind the curtain, the face of evil smirking with that shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble, that either pop or topple, many will fall and stumble, let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso, cannons could reach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners. Go. Run, 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 make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make we get it. Calling out your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, come, come, make we get it. Calling out your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make we get it. Calling out your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, come, come, make we get it. Calling out your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. Run for the hills, make the will lead the mind. For living is the dream with the doubt left behind. I need to start the wicked and it's duty to be whole. You're fearless and intrepid from the depths of our soul. The hands of the steady please the rules from the dawn. The sweat of the weary brings us close to the dawn. The motion of the wheel brings the light to the mind. The align is divine. Run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make we get it. Calling on your daughters and your sons, they come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated, Lord. Run, come, make we get it. Calling out the daughters and the sons, we don't forget it. Run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, come, make we get it. Calling out the daughters and the sons, we can't forget it. Run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated, Lord. Run, come, make we get it. Calling out the daughters and the sons, we can't forget it.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Let me do a quick audio test. Yeah, that seems to be the case that our microphone is working. Let me get a one in the chat if you guys can hear me, if you can hear me clearly, and if the audio is not fading out when I turn over here to the board. Thank you very much to everyone that's showing up. Thank you very much, Aaron B. Thank you to Nicer. Thank you to the usual crew. And this is part two of the series, What Ike Reads. And for now, we're calling it a book review. We're calling it a book expose, just talking about the kinds of things that I read. It's a good way to talk about ideas, draw connections, and all in all, exercise the intellectual muscles. Okay. All in all, exercise the intellectual muscles. I see ones in the chat, and I was able to get this microphone here to work today. Okay. So right now, I'm just putting it over here by my tie clip, my tie bar, and then the next stage will be to upgrade it to the point where I can get a nice little lavalier thing here, like the anchormen in the television studios do. Okay, so slowly but surely we're getting there, ladies and gentlemen. Slowly but surely we're getting there, ladies and gentlemen. So how's everyone doing today? I hope everyone is fine. Today we're going to be talking about a book by Stephen Pressfield called The War of Art. The War of Art, not the art of war, but the War of Art. And he's writing it from a particular point of view of somebody who has to do creative things and battle resistance. Okay. He calls it resistance, but we can call it procrastination and self sabotage and many other things. So the book is a very practical book in many senses, and it's divided into three parts. The first part is the what. Okay. What and why. Okay. So, what is this thing we're talking about that we're battling? Who is the enemy? Big Ike, happy Sunday, says Carl Black. Shout out to Carl Black in the house. Shout out to Nicholas Gums in the house. Lord Smooth, thank you very much, Lord Smooth, for your contribution yesterday to the Cash App. It's definitely much appreciated, gentlemen and ladies in the house. Much appreciated. Today, we're going to be talking about, again, The War of Art. This is a book about battling procrastination. That'll be the simplest way in which we can relate to the concept. He calls it resistance. And resistance gives it a more visceral feeling, something that we can intuitively grasp and something that is more akin to the kinds of things that we feel on a day to day basis. Okay? Procrastination can often be kind of just thought of as maybe some kind of a mental thing. Okay? Just a mental thing. Procrastination is really about just putting things off in your mind. Procrastination can be seen as just simply putting things off in your mind. But the way this book breaks it down, and it's a very short book, highly recommended. Again, these are books that I enjoy. Not just all, this series is going to be about books that I enjoy and can recommend, not necessarily just the books that I read. And this is not a book review in terms of me just reviewing books in which some will be a thumbs up or a thumbs down. These are all my thumbs up books, right? I feel like it's more worthwhile if we're going to come to this channel, the channel which is about being better and doing better from the point of view of subjective consciousness, self mastery, the pursuits in the creative endeavors, business, sales, and what have you, that it'll be more beneficial to everyone involved if we focused on things that I actually find value in and then can recommend to you. So the author again is Stephen Pressfield. Stephen Pressfield. All right, we pull this out a little bit here so it's there you go. There you go. There's a microphone. All right. Stephen Pressfield is the author, and the book is called The War of Art, and it's talking about battling the feeling of procrastination. Three parts I said the book was divided into. Number one is what? What? What are we talking about here? Who is the enemy? Okay. The enemy is a great teacher. The Dalai Lama said that. The Dalai Lama said the enemy is a great teacher. And of course, this is where we have fun, we have conversations, and I go off on tangents, right? So expect that. Expect that as we go along and we talk about things, I'm going to say, ho, 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 look at that shiny object over there. Let me chase it down. Let me chase it down. So, the enemy is a great teacher. One reason the enemy is a great teacher is that the enemy is usually a reflection of yourself. We've all heard this thing about the things that we don't like in other people are things that, and you know what? I'm going to do something real quick, but since I have a wireless microphone, I'm going to do a little test of the wireless microphone system, okay? I'm going to stand up and I'm going to walk away, okay? I'm going to grab something, okay? And let me know, let me get a one in the chat if when I go away, okay? I'm going to be saying testing, testing, and so on and so forth. When I go away, if you guys can still hear me. This way I can make sure that our wireless microphone system is working. So as I walk over here through the valley of the shadow of death, can you guys still hear me? But anyways, so as I was saying, we've all heard this thing about how the things that we don't like in other people are things that we do not like in ourselves. Generally speaking, this is true. If you pay attention, it is a very, very, very true thing. So how do we use it to our advantage? How do we use this knowledge to our advantage? We use this knowledge to our advantage in a very simple and obvious way. Whenever we notice something or we notice someone we don't like, we definitely need to isolate the feeling, okay? Isolate what exactly it is. I see a one in the chat. I see a one in the chat. That means you guys heard me. Little sojourn, okay? You guys heard me when I went on my little sojourn. Chaos Rain. Chaos Rain says, congratulations on hitting 1,000. This is amazing. I definitely thank you guys very much because you guys are the ones that got me to 1,000, quite obviously. Okay. I did not like my or subscribe to myself 1,000 times. No, I did not. So, congratulations to you guys. It is heartwarming, and we're taking a moment here to celebrate today that we got to 1,000. Okay. And I was just taking a small tangent here to say that we should always consider stop and watch. Okay. I do this quite actively all the time. I notice that there's something that's irritating me about somebody. I usually stop and then watch and say, because I know it's something in me. So I don't even ask, what is it in me? I simply just flip the mirror and start looking in myself. And I start searching. When do I do this thing? Where do I do this thing? Where do I do it? And like magic, okay? And we know we're very practical over here. I'm not going to tell you things that are woo woo or BS. Every time I do this and I locate the thing that is upsetting me, okay, about this other person supposedly, the feeling immediately goes away. The feeling immediately goes away. The perturbation, the bother, the BS, the thing that would have raised my blood pressure and pumped the stress hormone in my body that day, made me less efficient and less effective that day, and ruined my life, and then give me an early death with cancer and heart attack goes away. Okay? Simply by me noticing that I'm getting irritated by somebody, okay? And then I say, what is it? When have I, or let me find an example of the last time that I did this thing that is the source of the irritation. And lo and behold, you always find it in yourself. You always find, oh, yes, I'm being irritated by his jerkiness because I'm a jerk. And I did this jerky type of thing. I tend to do this specific kind of behavior. Okay. I tend to do this specific kind of behavior. But, anyways, we're saying, what is the enemy? What is the enemy that we are trying to fight in this book, The War of Art? What is the nature of the enemy? The enemy is procrastination in this book. But let's expose it a little bit more. Let's talk about the forms that it takes. Okay? It takes many different forms. So let's just go and list out a couple of things. Okay? Let's go ahead and list out a couple of things. In other words, the enemy over here is procrastination. Some people call it writer's block. If you're a writer, you know about writer's block, that inability to come up with new ideas. Okay? And nicer, you're a writer. Sometimes it just doesn't come out. Okay? Sometimes it comes in the sense of self sabotage, which is a more complex and complicated, okay? It's a more complex and complicated behavioral pattern, okay? There is self sabotage, there is perhaps just plain old laziness, okay? This is also a form of the enemy, a form of resistance, okay? Resistance is what Mr. Pressfield, resistance is what Mr. Stephen Pressfield, the writer of the book, The War of Art, calls this phenomenon the enemy that we have to fight. And this is an enemy that is common to all of us, okay? It's not just an enemy that writers and creative people need to deal with. Go ahead and see about the light over here. Okay. It's not just an enemy that writers and creative people have to deal with, but an enemy that everyone encounters. And we encounter it in many different forms, okay? These are just names for it right now. Names are laziness and the inability to, okay, inability, inability to delay gratification. Okay? The inability to delay gratification. Something tends to happen when resistance wants to rear its ugly head. And since I just wrote that one, let me mention something. A lot of times when you have some important work to do, all of a sudden, things such as, let's order some DoorDash. Let's go ahead and eat some cheesecake. Let's go ahead and satisfy these pleasures, okay? Satisfy these desires, these drives. That immediately comes up. Let's go on Instagram, okay? Let's do all kinds of self-destructive things. It's self-destructive because they're tied to you avoiding the important work that you need to do. Okay? And the reason it comes up this way is because it's trying to get you to satisfy this urge the easy way. You need to write that dissertation. You need to go get up and go to the gym. You need to pick up the paper and write that new song. You need to pick up the paper and draw that drawing that you need to create. You need to pick up the paintbrush and face the blank canvas and start your painting. You need to fill out that application for your LLC. You need to do all these things. And all of a sudden, the mind says, you know what? How about a burger right now? You know what would be great? How about we just kind of lounge around a little bit and check out some of these other frivolous things and get satisfaction that way? Let me get a one in the chat. If you guys have experienced this particular phenomenon, you have an important work to do. It is rather on the heavy side when it comes to your life's calling, if you will. Or maybe it's not that heavy, but it's something that you actually need to do that is important to you. You've been trying to do it for a while, but as soon as you start getting to the point where you're like, you know what, let me think about doing this thing, you start getting ideas about how to satisfy yourself in other ways, like eating, like sex, even masturbation, all these kinds of things come up. Okay. And yes, yes, yes. You say one of my main issues is procrastination, writing code, playing video games instead. Okay. Playing video games instead. Basically, the mechanism says, hey, go satisfy, go gratify yourself. Don't do this thing. Don't do this thing. Okay. Procrastination has this book is written from the point of view of a demon versus an angel. The angel is the muse, and that's talked about in part 3 of the book. The muse that gives you inspiration. And the resistance, the demon, is resistance. In other words, it doesn't want you to write the code. It wants you to do anything but write the code. So it'll put other things in front of you to anesthetize you, to dull your senses, to distract you. Okay? Now, we talked about certain words for it here. Words such as procrastination, okay? Writer's block, laziness, the inability to delay gratification, and on and on and on. Self-sabotage. But it also bears dwelling upon the question of what is it from the point of view of its nature, its characteristics, okay? Its characteristics. What are its characteristics, okay? It never goes away, is number one. It is a permanent fixture. If you were looking for a magic bullet, nicer, or I believe the name was Reynold, sorry, Reynold Cherry, Lord Smooth. Everyone in the chat today, if we're looking, and I know if we were hoping to find some kind of a magic bullet that will remove this enemy from our path, well, sorry, it is a permanent enemy. It never goes anywhere. It cannot be negotiated with. It cannot be reasoned with. It cannot be bargained with. Okay? Cannot be bargained with. It is permanent. It will not be bargained with. It will not be reasoned with. It is not going anywhere. You cannot trick it. Every time you need to do the coding, it will come at you with something. It is its nature. It is the nature of the beast. There is no secret way of overcoming it. Fear of the unknown, lack of knowledge. Those are all just more words we could put up here, right? Fear, those are just names of the beast, okay? Referring to the comment by Carl Black. Fear of the unknown. It's just another way of calling it. It doesn't really give us a hold on it in terms of its mechanism and how to fight it. It is just another manifestation of the same thing. Fear of the unknown is a special kind of rationalization. Okay? Fear of the unknown is a special kind of rationalization. It never goes away. Okay? It will not be bargained with. Okay? And you know what else about it? Let me put in here rationalization. Okay? Truth and rationalization. It uses the truth. It doesn't lie to you. It'll tell you, hey, I know you want to write your dissertation, but your company is instituting this new plan and they're going to need you to work weekends and you don't really have the energy right now. And it's best if you focus your energy and your time, your intellectual resources on your company, on your work. After all, you don't want to lose your job. If you start focusing on this dissertation now and, 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 it takes the truth. Yes, indeed, you do need to start working weekends. Okay? But believe me, that has nothing to do with you not starting to write that dissertation. Because when you look at the life of people who achieved monumental things way above and beyond your dissertation, way above and beyond the code you were trying to write, way above and beyond the book you're trying to write, the song lyrics you're trying to write, the business you're trying to start, those people also had many, many, many other things going on in their life as well. I think Tolstoy had like 16 children, and he still wrote those big books. It uses truth and rationalization. It cannot be bargained with. Again, we're talking about resistance. We're talking about the nature of the enemy. We are talking about the nature of the enemy. Don't expect it to ever go away. Don't expect it to let you go some days. Don't wait for the days when it's seemingly gone. When you have an overflow of exuberance and energy to surge through and get some work done. Those days are few and far between, and you would never get anything of substance done in life. Your doctor, your nurse, your plumber, professionals, if you will, don't wait till they absolutely feel like they are on cloud nine and they cannot wait to jump out of bed and go attend to you by the bedside or attend to your pipes or do the work that needs to be done in the building of the freeways, the building of the houses, the building or the mowing of your lawns and so on and so forth. If everyone waited for when they had an overflow of inspiration to do things, how much will actually get done? Okay, nothing. Nothing will get done. Okay? Don't think it ever goes away. It cannot be bargained with. It is a permanent fixture. It'll use truth and rationalizations against you. This is the first part of the book still, so that we can locate ourselves. And the book is called The War of Art. And we're fighting a war against an enemy. The first part of the book defines the enemy. We're still talking about the nature of the enemy, the nature of that thing that stops you, okay? The nature of that thing that stops you whenever you need to do something. The important part about knowing that it never goes away is that make friends with the feeling that you feel whenever you feel like you need to code, when you know, shall I say, that you have to code, Reynold. Expect the feeling to come in. Expect the feeling of no, go play video games instead. Expect it. Make friends with it. Say, hey, hi there, old buddy. Here you come again. You are proof that I actually need to get work done. You are proof that this work is also important because resistance doesn't stop you from playing video games. Resistance doesn't stop you from eating cheesecake. Resistance doesn't stop you from scrolling around on social media. It only stops you from doing important things that'll make progress in your life. That is why it is cast as a demon in this book. Okay? It does not stop you from doing frivolous activities. It does not stop you from doing mindless tasks that give you just slight gratification or make you think, hey, maybe I'm making some progress here, or at least I'm just clearing the path. I need to write, but how about if I clean the windows instead? That way it'll bring more sunlight into my writing room, and resistance won't stop you from doing that. It's like, yeah, go ahead, clean the windows. Yeah, 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 go ahead. Yeah, mop the floors. Yeah, 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 do that, do that, do that. It stops you from going on the path towards your calling. The more important the work is, the more important the work is, the bigger the resistance. Okay? And we know this. We know this. The more important the work is, the bigger the resistance. It's not to be negotiated with. We're listing the things that define this particular enemy of ours. And then there's one aspect of it which is rather interesting because it involves other people. You know what happens when you start doing something, making progress in your life? You trigger the resistance in other people, and they start to tell you things like, you know what, Nicer? You're not the same person you used to be. Nicer, you have changed. Reynald, you don't hang out and play video games with us anymore. What's up with that? You've changed. Why are you always into this code stuff? In other words, resistance will use other people, family members, friends, acquaintances, your drinking buddies, your social media buddies. It will use them against you. in the way in which we just described. And how does the mechanism work? It's simple. It's not no magic, okay? It's not magical. They also have resistance. And as we talked about a few minutes ago, when I mentioned that the enemy is a good teacher, I harped upon the point for a second. The point that whenever we see something that irritates us in somebody else, it is something that is also in ourselves. People around you have resistance as well. People around you have untended acreage of land. They know that they have weeds behind there. When they see you start tending, they unconsciously get triggered. And then they will come to you, and now they will be the resistance. So the resistance is not just in you, it is in other people as well, obviously. And when these people start seeing you, okay, when these others, I should say, rather than just them, when these others start seeing you moving towards your purpose, give me a one in the chat if you guys have ever experienced this. They will start giving you a little bit of pushback, telling that you have changed. Why do you have to work so hard? Why do you have to do all this stuff? Why do you have to stream every day on YouTube? Why do you care about your music so much? Let me get a one in the chat. If you guys have experienced the triggering of the resistance in other people as a result of when you start going on your path, getting turned against you. It's almost like the demon. The demon has found agents, like agents in the Matrix. The agents in the Matrix can take the form of anybody. Shout out to Luke Jones in the house. The agents can take the form of anybody. And the forces of your friends, your family, your acquaintances, your drinking and gaming buddies will be marshaled against you. The enemy. You see, we just thought procrastination was a simple thing. It's just me pushing things forward. Maybe I have a little bit of fear, okay? Maybe I have a little bit of fear. But no, the reason I like this book a lot, a short book called The War of Art. The war that you need to fight every day against this demon in order to get the great goals of your life accomplished. Not the small goals. It does not care about the little things. It will not block you from doing unimportant work. That's the importance of the first part of the book. Part one is it really drills into the nature of the beast here. Okay? It really drills into the nature of the beast. In line with the idea that the more important the work, the bigger the resistance, is the fact that also the closer you get to the finish line, the more coy the resistance becomes. It tends to come in the form of, let me relax a little bit now. And we all know that one. Like, you know what? I'm almost there. Let me relax. Let me relax a little bit. Fight the war within yourself, says Nicholas Gums. Yes, and that's why the theme song, the song, my song that I chose to use as the theme song of this channel is the song Battle Within. Battle Within. Because it's about the internal battles, way more so than the external battles. The external enemies can be very well and clearly defined. Okay? It can be well clearly defined. So, when we get closer to the finish line, resistance shows up. It starts to rationalize certain things. And it starts to tell you things like perhaps you should relax a little bit. Exactly. It's like it gets smarter. Take a break. Hey, relax. You know? But no, you need to accelerate, is what you need to do. Are you guys familiar with The Odyssey, the book about Odysseus? Or maybe you watched the movie? Okay. I believe it was written by Homer. Either way, ancient Greek, great book. Okay. The book called The Odyssey. Maybe you've seen the movie called The Odyssey. Let me know if you guys are familiar with it. Because one very important thing, because it's a great thing, again, about the hero's journey, and he goes through many things in his Odyssey, right? But the point that I'm making here about the fact that the closer you get to the finish line, the more coy the resistance takes is exemplified in one aspect of the book, The Odyssey. And this is when they're almost back at their homeland. If you know the book, they go on a sojourn and then they get lost, many different obstacles and so on and so forth. They're at sea and they're trying to come back to Ithaca, their home. And they're almost there. Okay, Carl Black says no. Check out The Odyssey. Either watch a movie of it or get an audio book. It is one of those things. It's kind of like, okay, the Bible, right? The Bible, Plato's Republic. If you are a person in the West, you need to enlighten yourself vis-a-vis Jerusalem and Athens. You need to know Jerusalem and you need to know Athens. That's just the beginning. That's the basics. Okay. So that you can know what's controlling you. Does that make sense when I say so you can know what's controlling you? Because that's what you are. You are in the stew, born in the Mediterranean, two poles of which are in Jerusalem, most of which we get a big portion of our spiritual center. And then you have Athens, the Greeks. And you need to know these things, otherwise, you're blind as to what your unconscious nature is. These are the things, this is the soup, this is the milieu in which you swim. Are born into it, it is controlling you, it dictates your moral nature, and on and on and on. So be familiar with the mythologies from these two cities, if that makes sense. So, The Odyssey is a book about a guy called Odysseus. Very great story about the hero's journey going through and so on and so forth. But here's one thing that happened to exemplify the point about he was almost at the finish line. He was almost at Ithaca. He could see the coastline. He could see the smoke from the fires of their families. Everyone was happy. Along the journey, though, he met someone who bagged up the bad winds. So there were some bad winds that were going to distract them. But this person put it into this bag, into this kind of a sheepskin or perhaps goatskin, like something for keeping wine, right? Put it in there. And Odysseus told his people, never, whatever you do, never open that bag. Don't open that bag. Okay? Now, as Odysseus was approaching the shores of Ithaca, resistance came in and he says, Ah, we're here. Let me take a nap. So he took a nap and he left the bag unattended. And the people around him thought, hmm, after all, we're almost home. I think there's gold in that bag. Let's go open the bag. They opened the bag and the winds were released. And the winds blew them past through all the lands, all the seas, the crazy adventures and the seas that they've traversed to get to that point. It took them way past even where they were in terms of their journey back and messed up everything for them. More than doubled the time that they had to take to come back again. Because when they were approaching and they saw the shoreline, Odysseus decided to relax. And then, just like it will be done, the resistance used the people around him and said, hey, let's open up this particular bag. They opened it up. Yes, you got my point. You got my point. So, resistance, that thing that's stopping you from doing the work you need to do, that thing that's stopping you from writing, that thing that's stopping you from getting into the car and going to the gym is bigger, more stubborn, more intransigent, and a nastier force to be reckoned with than you may realize. It's not just some of the simpler words like laziness. No, it is a freaking demon. Conceptualize demon in whichever way you will, but if there's any real demon out there in the world, it will be this thing that we generally call procrastination. And it's not as simple as the one word would suggest. And that's why this book takes a whole beginning chapter, okay, to elaborate upon what the nature of resistance is. That it'll use truth and rationalization, that it is not to be bargained with, that it will cause self sabotage, that it'll make you want to go do little things to gratify yourself so that you get anesthetized and you get satisfied and you do not achieve your life's mission. It is the enemy of your life's mission. Now, why does it exist? Okay. And this is all still in part one, because part two, how to fight it, it's not going to take a lot of space in the board. How to fight it is not going to take a lot of space in the board. And then part three is about the muse. I'm not going to go into that too much, but I highly recommend this book. I highly recommend this book. Go to Audible on Amazon. If you don't already have that account, Audible is a great thing. That way, Reynold, while you're coding, you can listen to a book. While you're working, which some of you do, some of you work and listen to YouTube, right? You can listen to a book like Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art, a short book, 3 hours long if you listen to it on audio. And it's the kind of book that you can come back to again and again after 6 months, read it, listen to it again, another 6 months, read it again, and you will catch new nuances in what he is saying in that book. Why is resistance there? Resistance is there because we're tribal animals and we've been recently set free. We are not supposed to have individual big goals. We're supposed to be guided by the tribe, and we just do what our role is, and we get immediate gratification, right? It is your job to pick the berries. You pick the berries. Everybody loves you in the village. Everybody loves you in the tribe. We're hunting, we're gathering. You don't have to think about how to start writing this novel you got to write while also working and paying your bills and so on and so forth. It is there because we are not genetically, and this is again the argument in the book. I give the arguments in the book in this series, what I create. I talk from the point of view of the author, right? So, why is it there? It is there because self mastery is new and hard. Self mastery. In other words, we're used to being slaves, okay? Slaves to the tribe. Self mastery is new, is new and hard. It is the kind of thing that was relegated to maybe one or two people in the tribe. The shaman, it was the shaman's job to master himself. It was the shaman's job to deal with all the rigmarole of consciousness and fight all the demons and the spirits and master how to deal with them and so on and so forth. It was the shaman's job to be an individual in that sense. It was never our job. It was never our job to have these life missions. I need to be a writer. I would like to travel the world, so I need to have the money to travel the world, so I need to do this work. So I need to go to school. Or I have this book in me that I want to write. I have this song in me that I want to write. I need to go to the Amazon and help out via charity work this particular tribe. I need to go dig wells in the Congo because that's my life's calling. This is very new in the human experience. This is nothing that we are accustomed to. Or should I say, this is something that we are not accustomed to. This is something that we are not accustomed to. And as we go here, when we get to part 3 of the book, or part 2, which talks about how we deal with resistance, how we deal with resistance. What are the practical steps we need to take? What are the practical steps that we need to take? All right. What are the practical steps that we need to take? But just a little bit more on why. Okay. Really, it's because freedom is hard. If we're not fooling ourselves, we need to realize that freedom is a modern. Let me get a one in the chat. If we all know and we realize how recent the idea of most people being free is, it is so damn recent in human history. For the majority of human history, for millennia of evolving in different societies and so on and so forth, you were never free. You were never meant to be free. The idea that you're free is new and somewhat ridiculous. Let me get a one in the chat. If we are well aware of that fact, so that we disabuse ourselves of the notion that freedom is somehow, maybe not use the word natural. One may argue about what natural really is. But the fact that it is new, it is very new, and it is very hard to be free. The fight against resistance, the fight against this demon is the individual fight of every person to be free. It is the individual fight, because the political fight was done, and the legislative fight, the philosophical fight, all that stuff is done through millennia in society, and so on and so forth. The French started it. Yes, freedom is new. Freedom is new, ladies and gentlemen. Even because some people like to go to ancient times and talk about the Greeks, let's say. Like, but there was democracy in the Greeks with the Greeks. No, it was different. The people whom were the citizens that were allowed to vote, okay, and it was within a particular, cohort in Athens. The free citizens were not the majority. You still had the slaves and the women and definitely the barbarians, which means anyone is not Greek. So, and democracy doesn't necessarily mean freedom, not in the modern sense, because everyone still had prescribed roles, and it was still a well-defined aristocracy that you couldn't just rise into. Okay, so it is not natural. Yes, I'll go there. I guess I'll use it in this way. This freedom is not natural to whatever it is in us that is constantly putting up these roadblocks. It does not want to strike out a path on its own and go write the song. It does not want you to start that business because it does not understand this concept of you being free and individual and having a calling. This is all new. Or this was meant for the gods. This was meant for the heroes. In other words, the struggle, the modern struggle, ladies and gentlemen, is a heroic journey because we have been granted freedom and we now have to fight the fight that many people in the past never had to, which is the hero's journey, which was left only to the heroes, the great men of the past. But now we all have to do it because the alternative is unhappiness. The alternative is Zoloft and Xanax. That's the alternative. If you don't do what the freedom allows you to do and fight against the anti freedom demon called resistance, you are not going to be happy. But you cannot transport yourself back into a time when you had your prescribed roles where most of us, you and I, and most people, would be more or less slaves, serfs, and we can live our happy slave life and not worry about anything. Wake up in the morning, you go to the farm, you work till night, you go back into your hut and you sleep. You don't have to worry about these ideas and these goals. You don't have to worry about all this self improvement stuff. You don't have to worry about self mastery. Yourself was well defined already. Yourself was well defined and encapsulated already. Okay? Well defined and encapsulated already. Thank you, Nicer, for always being the great mod. The link is over there so that as I transition into the last half of this, which has to do with how to resist it. The book is broken into three parts. Number one, What? And that's the most important part because it's important for us to really see. Very good point, Carl. You get miserable if you're not growing with this freedom. It is a double-edged sword, like everything in life. There's no free lunch, pun intended. You get freedom, and it comes with a huge responsibility on your spirit, a huge responsibility on your psyche. A huge thing has been unleashed from you. You have no scaffolding anymore. You have nothing that says this is what you should do, Carl. This is what you should do, Reynold. This is what you should do, Nicer. No. All the spirits have been unleashed. Now what do you do? Now you have to fight the battle against fight the battle against resistance in all its forms. Okay? And just to remind ourselves, the fear of the unknown, laziness, okay? Writer's block, self sabotage, the inability to delay gratification. It doesn't change. It'll use other people's resistance against you. When you start doing something that you should be doing, other people's resistance gets triggered and they say, hey, you have changed. How come you are not hanging out with us at the bar anymore, wasting time? It'll use truth against you. It'll tell you the truth. It'll tell you the truth. It loves telling you the truth about how busy you are and how you can't really do that thing and this thing and the other thing. It'll tell you the truth. It'll tell you the truth. So, how? Okay, how do we battle this demon? How do we battle this demon? This inner slave. This inner slave that we all carry within ourselves. Well, basically, if we were to summarize the weapon that we use, let's just call it Go Pro. You have no choice but to go pro. Now, what does the writer mean by that? Stephen Pressfield's book, The War of Art, Redefine the Enemy. How do you fight the enemy? Go pro. And you can channel the muse. The muse is the angel here. The muse is the angel, that which gives you inspiration. And you guys may have heard of the muse, right? It's also a Greek concept, but mainly associated with artistic endeavors. And the muse is that which gives you inspiration to do the artistic work. You want to channel the muse and you want to realize that it's not you that does the work, but it's the muse that does the work. The only work you need to do is to fight resistance. And this is very related to a stream that I did, or last couple of streams, I should say, which says that basically what you need to do is to pay attention and let your unconscious do the work. Let your unconscious do the measuring, the management, and the implementation of the improvement. Now, that's a standalone video, a concept in and of itself, but it's tangentially related to what we're talking about here vis-a-vis using the muse. The muse is part 3 of this book. I'm not going to dwell too much on the muse because it's a particular idea. Okay, it's a particular idea having to do with inspiration and things like that. It gets a little spiritual. if you will, at that point. But go pro, what does going pro mean? One of the things about going pro, one of the things that allows you to create the channel to allow the muse, the inspiration to come in, you need to do something for the inspiration to come in. If you wait around for the inspiration, as we said before, wait around for the perfect day when all your hormones are flowing just right, and then you're going to do the work, you're never going to get work done. And when I said that, I referenced professionals like your heart surgeon and your nurses and so on and so forth. They do the work every day. You also have a job. Even if you don't have a job, well, let's just take brushing your teeth. You are a professional toothbrusher. Why? Because every day, hopefully, you get up and you brush your teeth. Every day. Every day. Every day. So, likewise, I'm going to put right here start. Let me get a one in the chat if you guys recognize that the hardest part of doing anything in this particular regard, with regards to battling of the muse, battling the demon called resistance, battling the demon of procrastination, self sabotage, fear of the unknown. Wow, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what the quality of the work is going to be. Give me get a one in chat if you know that the hardest part of doing this stuff is starting. The hardest part of actually starting to code or coding is to actually open up the laptop and to start. Actually open up the page and start writing. Look at the canvas and pick up the brush and start painting. Pick up the calculator, okay, that I need to do on later on today. Calculator and my pads, my pens and everything, go to my stand-up desk and start engineering. Starting is the hard part, but guess what? The good thing about it is that's the only part you have to do. The rest gets taken care of once you start. That's the beauty of this. There is a light at the end of the dark tunnel through which we just traversed. We do not fight the muse, we do not fight resistance alone, but we need to go pro. What does a pro do? A pro gets up, put on his frock or his smock, his jacket, his tie, every day, day in, day out, and he starts. So we know how to do this stuff. I am a professional at breathing. I do it without even noticing. Exactly, Lord. Smooth. He says, then you enter the flow state. Yes, but resistance doesn't want you to start. That's the trick that it plays against you. It tells you, oh my God, it's going to be so hard. How about you have some chocolate fondue first? You know what? You worked so hard yesterday. Come on, relax. Order up some of that steak you like and have it be delivered by Uber Eats or DoorDash, Postmates. How about some pad thai? You know you like that pad thai. Those great noodles. Yes, let's do that. Anything but start. Bro Truth in the house. He said, what did I miss? Any new person coming in? For those of you in the chat, fill in Bro Truth, because I think this is a simple concept. Today we're battling procrastination. Fill in Bro Truth on this demon that we're battling. How do we battle it? It says go pro. The hardest part is to start. This is a book called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Highly recommended, a short book, a small book broken into three parts. The first part defines the enemy. We use certain words. We talk about procrastination, the fear of the unknown, laziness, writer's block, self sabotage, inability to delay gratification, so on and so forth. Aha, Bro Truth already knows the book. So, we talked about things about how it uses other people's resistance against you and how it gets bigger with the importance of the work, how it gets bigger the closer you get to the finish line. How do we fight it? We go pro. We go pro. We go pro. We go pro on it. What does a pro know? A pro knows that he has to start. That's it. The muse, which is the angel, okay? So it's not all demons here. The muse is the angel that comes to your rescue, takes you into flow state, and wins the battle for you. But guess what? Another thing, especially in creative works, is how you go pro, how you fight the demon, is don't worry about the quality. Don't worry about quality. If you got to write, you're writing a book, you're writing songs, don't worry about the quality of the song that you wrote that day. Don't worry about the quality of the book. Don't worry about the quality of not the whole book. Don't worry about the quality of the particular pages that you wrote that day. All you need to do is go and start, and you put in the time, and when the time is done, you're done. Because the important thing to do is to wage war against resistance and win. Because the more you win against resistance, the more you're going to be able to win. This is a very, very basic psychological fact. The more you fall for temptation, the more you're going to fall for temptation. The more you resist temptation, the easier it is to resist temptation the next time. Do you guys hear me? Am I hearing somebody preaching in the house? Don't let me get my preacher voice on here. But basically, the idea says, and it is very true, okay? It is very true. Wow, shout out to Lord Smooth again. Jesus Christ, this is great. Shout out to Lord Smooth for the Cash App. Salute. Y'all need to give him some, y'all need to join him, okay? Y'all need to join him by donating to the Cash App. All right, Nicer already left it. It's on the chat. Don't act like you don't see it. Enjoy the content. Drop $2 in the Cash App. Well, do you need my $2, Ike? Yes, I do. I need your $2, okay? Yes, I need your $2. I need every damn dollar. We go pro by starting. We go pro by understanding that waging war against resistance is more important than the quality of the work that you did that day. In other words, it is more important that you actually started the work and you followed through with it, even though you didn't get as far as you needed to get, even though you did crappy work that day. The battles won. Very important in the long-term war. The long-term war for our freedom. Again, this is a war for freedom. This is the battle, the individual battle that each individual needs to fight in this modern day times where we have freedom. Because freedom is new. Freedom is something we're not used to. Hence, we have this resistance. Hence, we have self sabotage. Hence, we are not used to having a life calling. That used to be something for the gods, for the heroes of mythology. Now, We are free. And we have an ongoing battle because resistance is permanent, it's intransigent, it cannot be and will not be bargained with. It will not change. It will continue to come at you. Even if you chop it down into 10,000 little pieces, you broke it down into one tiny cell, that cell will still come at you. That is its nature. That's all it knows. It is relentless. So you go pro. You always start. Ladies and gentlemen, just start. Just start. Just start. That in combination with the fact that you know it's intransigent and it'll never go away is a good way to start things. In other words, go ahead, do your routine, get your cup of coffee, and then you're going to see resistance right there, standing right there in the kitchen with you. You say, hey there, buddy. Hey, resistance. Hey, that feeling in the pit of my stomach. Hey, that feeling in my neck getting stiffed up. Hey, these voices in my head telling me it's going to be bad. Hello, good morning. How you doing? How you doing? And then you go start. Because the next day you're going to come down again and you're going to see them again. Hey there, buddy. Nice to see you this morning. Hey there, this feeling in the pit of my stomach. Hey there, resistance. Hey there, self sabotage and procrastinations. How are you guys doing today? And then go start. Very important that you win that battle. Go downstairs to the kitchen, get that coffee, look them in the eye, say hello, and then go start. Don't worry about the quality of the work. Don't worry about the quality of the work. One important thing, and this is going to sound a little off, but isolation is important. And this is tied to the fact that resistance uses other people. I'm not saying go be a loner in the mountains somewhere, but I'm saying that you need to start and you need to isolate yourself from the crowd in your head and the crowd outside. Sometimes they're one and the same crowd. Crowd from outside is put words and thoughts in your head sometimes. But you need isolation, you need mastery of subjective consciousness. You need to go listen to that video about how you need to listen to your ear as an access point for meditation. And then you need to start following up with the meditative practice. And as this goes more and more in terms of more and more videos I make, I'll drop more and more content vis-a-vis actual meditation practices above and beyond what I've done so far, which has just mainly been introductory. I just say, hey, pay attention to your hands. I made a video about that. Listen to the sound in your ear. Made a video about that, but nothing formal yet about meditation. But how do you separate yourself? It's through meditative practices. Self mastery is hard because freedom is new, and this is the battle we have to fight. You have no choice unless you want to be on Xanax. You have to fight this battle. Now, the nature of the war is different because we all have different levels of talent. Like I made that video talking about when you have more acres of land, which is analogized to talent, analogous to talent, that you have more work to do. You have more resistance, therefore, to battle. You have a uphill, tough life to live. And that's why people like Michael Jordan are assholes. Because they have a tough, tough road to hoe. And the level of discipline that they bring to bear on a daily basis puts them in a state where they don't suffer fools. Steve Jobs cannot stand your whining and your complaining because he has to fight resistance every step of the way. So don't come here with your bitching. Okay? Yes. So self isolation, isolating yourself. Oh, Pressfield. Stephen Pressfield. It's two S's. My bad. That can be changed. Or I could just say, I was testing you. Oh, I didn't even put Penfield. That's my bad. I thought I was writing Pressfield, and then I thought you said I misspelled Pressfield, but I didn't even write Pressfield. So, go pro. Don't worry about the quality of the work. Isolate yourself from the crowd in your head and the crowd outside. Mastery of your subjective consciousness will be key here. In order to recognize very clearly when you see resistance coming in as many forms that it takes, you need to be able to create distance. Again, distance between yourself, your observer self, and the feeling, image, and talk trifecta, which is what we use in this channel in terms of defining our subjective consciousness. And my people in the channel know feeling in the body, image, and talk in the head. Feeling in the body could be emotions, sensations in the body, and then your five senses. Resistance, the enemy, will occupy every part of this trifecta. It'll be voices in your head, it'll be images in your head, and definitely it loves to be feelings in your body. So when you wake up and you're having that cup of coffee, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta write today. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to do some work today. Oh my God, I'm gonna need to pull an all-nighter today. This is me. This is right now. Right now, let me share with you my resistance. I need to pull an all-nighter tonight. Yes, 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 yes. I need to pull an all-nighter tonight. And it doesn't feel good right now because the intransigent bastard is here. And it say, hey, why don't you just order some food? Why don't you go downstairs and make that great omelet you like, where you put heavy whipping cream inside? Why don't you do all those things but pull this all-nighter? It'll actually tell me, do those things and then you'll do the all-nighter. But I know that if I do those things, my strength will be weakened. My ability to resist will be weakened. Okay? It is a very coy demon, this thing. Okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start. I'm not gonna necessarily worry about the quality of my start. Okay? I'm just gonna keep going. All right? I'm gonna keep going. I may pull a Kevin Samuels and go get some Red Bull. Yes, I may do that. I'm definitely going to be isolating myself from my thoughts. I will be doing that. And then an important part is to shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, and shut up some more. And that's why I made that video called Men Shut Up and Show Your Work. If you talk about the thing that you're going to do, in other words, go watch that video called Shut Up and Show Your Work, and you'll know exactly what this particular one is. Right? And it goes to the thing about it telling you to go do other things to gratify yourself. Resistance will tell you to do things to gratify yourself. And talking about your goals, talking about the things you're going to do, creates a social reality out there. That social reality gives you satisfaction. That satisfaction diminishes your hunger, and you're actually never going to start. That's not professional. Professionals don't talk, they do. The more you talk, the less your ability to do. You drain your batteries when you talk. You drain your batteries when you talk. Talking is intellectual and emotional masturbation. Same way you drain your batteries when you're out there jerking the chicken or wherever the hell these kids are calling it these days. Same exact way talking about it, okay? In the same exact way, talking about it drains you and it takes away from your ability to actually do the work, the very important work. Hey, Reynold, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yeah. It's Reynolds. It's all the same.
Reynold, all the same. Well, thank you very much for joining us, sir. I can hear you loud and clear. What you got for us, sir?
What's going on, Ike? Yeah, just listening in. Yeah, procrastination is a huge issue for me. One thing, I'm in the IT field or whatever, and trying to do my own thing, but I have so many ideas. So that's another issue where you don't even. It's not even not starting. It's like which one to start. I have so many little different ideas that I can do, things that I can start on my own, and I wrote them down and all that. But
Mm.
then I get stuck, just like, oh shoot, okay. Each one of them requires, a significant amount of like legwork, like coding of some sort. But to me, they're all good, but that's where I'm just stuck in the middle, like, which one to do, something like that.
Hmm.
That's just another aspect of procrastination that hits me.
Have you figured out a system for getting past this particular aspect of procrastination? This aspect being the fact that you have all these many things. It kind of puts this whole mad array of things at you, and then you don't know where to start. Do you have a system for tackling that?
Nope, never. I even had a book that I bought about procrastination and procrastinated to read that. Never read it. So that tells you. So yeah, I never developed a system, anything like that. It's crazy.
Okay, so perhaps I have some kind of understanding, or let me start by just saying that I think I can relate with you, okay, in a certain sense,
Hmm.
in at least one sense, in the sense that there are many things I like to do, okay, or
Yep.
that I actually do. So I'm doing this YouTube thing, I do the music thing, I do the 9 to 5 thing, plus my side business thing.
Hmm.
And I'd like to read all these books, and I like to be a student slash teacher type thing, right? So there's always an array. For me, and maybe it's different, but I'm just trying to say, okay, at least I can relate to the fact that there are many things to be done. Now, what I do like to do though, and this is a principal part of it, the principal part of it is start doing one of those things so you can at least test viability and interest. Interest is or interest is a very, very important um what's the word I'm looking for? Compass. Okay.
Okay. Hmm.
Interest is a very important compass. In other words, you may think you're interested in something when it's still just an idea. Okay. But when you say, okay, let me lay this one out and start taking that horse and galloping down that road, you will immediately find out, okay, the horse will feel a lot better on this other road, right? Which
Hmm.
is the other thing on the list. Now, what I'm really getting back to here is the start thing, but the principle behind it is you want to use interest as a way of sniffing out what resonates with you as you start to do them, right? And one thing more on a more granular level, let's say, is in order to start stuff, I literally, and this doesn't really have something to, it's not particular to the particular problem that you have. It just has to do with starting things.
Yep.
Now, what I do is I write a list of things, very rudimentary, as rudimentary as sit down on the desk, open up the laptop, go to Gmail, open up the email, read the email. That way, I don't, there's something there, what I call it is externalization, right? Externalization meaning there's a lot of work that it takes, right? You obviously you're battling resistance, right? And
Hmm.
there's a lot of mental fortitude to jump over that. Externalization is like counting with your fingers. In other words, it takes work to count with your fingers in your head. So you externalize when you're tired or when you need to, and you start counting with your fingers. Not that we do that as adults, but you get just to give the idea of externalization. Lists are also externalization. So when you have a mental battle to do, externalization of any kind is always a good thing. In this particular case, we're using lists where you list the actions to take. And all of a sudden, when you pick up that paper and you say, sit on your desk, you're like, I can do that. Open the laptop, I can do that. It sounds silly. It
Okay.
sounds
Okay.
silly,
Hmm.
but it's better than not doing it. It's better than whatever program you got running right now, right?
Gotcha.
So for me, it works. And then there's something else about and just because it's tangentially related and it's all about taking action and so on and so forth. You find yourself laying on the couch. Try this one. It's trippy as hell. You find yourself laying on the couch, you need to mow the lawn or you need to do something, and you just can't do it. Okay. What you do is this: you start taking small steps towards activating your conscious mind, controlling the beast that it needs to control. And simply say, blink 3 times, and you blink one, two, three. It says, lift up your right pinky 3 times. One, two, three. Do, in other words, and trust me, go ahead and try it. Don't take my word for it. In other words, what I'm
Okay.
saying, trust me, is go run the experiment. Okay. Next time you feel, and a lot, we have this feeling most of the time when we're in bed. Okay. How do I get up of bed? Next time, perhaps tomorrow, try this. Say, clap your hands 3 times, Reynold. One, two, three. Look to the left and look to the right. Look to the left and look to the right. The next thing you know, you'll be out of bed. Because basically, what you're doing is you're activating intention. You're
Mm,
activating conscious control step by step. Rather than do the big thing, say, hey, Mr. Conscious Mind, let's do these little things. And before you know it, boom, you're up. It
yeah.
works every time. So if I
Okay.
could give some kind of advice is number one, externalization, writing that list down of things. Another
Hmm.
kind of way of that something that also has something common to externalization is doing these little tasks and then going to the big task. But overall, using your nose of interest to start one thing, because the big thing that needs to be done is you need to whittle down those many things into things that actually are relevant and that you actually will do. Okay.
Hmm.
And you don't really know that you want to do all those things yet. And when you have them arrayed like that, pick one and then you'll start to get the sense for, my nose really wants to go to item number 4. Now that I've started item number 1, I know that really my interest lies in item number 4. Make sense?
Yeah. So basically, you're saying out of the collection, the array, whatever, you start on one, and even just the fact that I started could help me lean over to another one. But at least it sets the locomotive in motion or something like that.
Sets the locomotive in motion for, and then there's two benefits to that. Number one is that you started, and as we said before, it's this is a psychological fact that once if you fall for temptation, and
Yep.
I'm just using that image of temptation because it's a nice little trope, and we all in the West, and so we understand that kind of imagery. Falling for temptation, the more you fall for it, the more you can fall for it. But the more you resist it, it's also true. The reverse is also true,
Hmm.
right? So once you beat resistance once by just starting that one thing, you're likely to beat it again. Okay. And intuitively, we've experienced this before. We can't grow up to be adults without knowing that this is true.
Yeah, that makes sense because that actually worked for me going to the gym. Actually, you know, you don't feel like it sometimes, and then you just push yourself, even if it's raining or whatever, and I just go. And it's the first step is just getting into the car, and once I'm in the car, no, I don't want to go back upstairs, so I'm on my way to the gym. Okay, no, that makes sense.
Exactly. So you see, and the same thing works with all that pinky stuff I was saying. It may
Yeah,
sound
yeah.
crazy when you say that, but we know that it's like, and the important thing is to kind of like, and that the part that I wrote down here, don't worry about the quality. Don't
Yep.
think, oh, well, I'm not gonna have a great workout today. Don't worry about that. You're not gonna be doing the workout. Your job is to go to the gym. The unconscious mind, and not just the unconscious mind, but the body is the one that's gonna
Hmm.
be doing the workout. Okay. Let your heart and your blood oxygen and all that other stuff take care of the workout. You're not doing the workout anyways. Okay. It's your job to point the elephant in the right direction, and then the elephant will do it, the elephant being your unconscious being, if you will.
Gotcha. All right, good stuff. One thing I want to harp back when you mentioned earlier about plumbers, electricians. That I didn't get that point there. You're saying that they don't have, like, they don't have a choice not to do the work. Is that what you meant there? Like, why
Yeah.
can't they procrastinate?
Yeah, it was about, I was anticipating the GoPro point.
Okay, yeah.
And perhaps it was not a good example, but I was
Uh,
saying that perhaps brushing your teeth is a better example. Like
okay.
you don't, you simply just do it, right? And
Hmm.
anyone that has a job, especially that kind of a job, because a lot of people work from home now, or maybe they have their own business and they can kind of move their schedule around. But if you have the kind of a job where you got to wake up and go somewhere, you just wake up and you go. And
Hmm.
we do that. We know how to do that. It's called being an adult, called not being a loser, right? So that part at least we got. And that's I was just anticipating the GoPro part that fighting against procrastination involves taking that kind of action
Gotcha.
and starting.
All right. All right. Good stuff.
All right. You got anything else?
No, no. That answered my question. I'm gonna try those steps tomorrow, actually.
And if you don't mind, what kind of you say you're trying to do your own stuff, and but you are in the IT space. You don't have to give names, location, whatever. But what kind of stuff do you do? I'm just curious. And what are you trying to do when you say your own stuff? Or what are
Well,
one of these things on your array of lists and blah blah blah.
and yeah, that's the thing because I work for airline firm. We deal with. I work for departure control systems. We deal within a bunch of airlines, and we host their reservations, departure control, stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's system engineering, so it's mostly monitoring and just dealing with Unix systems and
Mm,
scripting and all that.
okay.
So Linux systems actually, we migrate off of Linux, and now we're migrating to the cloud, um, Azure, Microsoft Azure Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
So we're migrating off premise into the cloud, but yeah, it's a lot of just dealing with it's dealing with Linux boxes and writing a bunch of Python scripts and stuff like that. Okay, so it's a good job. I like the job, pays well, and I want to do my own thing. Like I've been working for what 10+ years,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean we get to work remote now with the COVID and all that, so it's not
Mm-hmm.
an issue. But I also got free time while I'm at work where I have ideas I want to do. One thing I'm into is just training, so I could easily build like a training course for a bunch of people. I know a bunch of people that want to get into Linux, but the resources are slim, and I'm into do things differently.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that's one of the ideas. I mean, not a I could say it out loud, so it's not a big thing. Linux training. Another thing I had to do with another idea had to do with crypto. In the
Mm.
I know you're on. I know you deal with what's his name. He's big into crypto.
Solo TV.
Yeah, Solo. Yeah, Solo's big into crypto. But what's another portion of crypto that's actually blowing up is on ETH is the DeFi space, which is
Mm-hmm.
decentralized finance, and
Mm-hmm.
I have some ideas what I can do in that right now. That's in the back burner, and
Okay.
but the Linux one is because that's what I do daily. So that one I have in my head uh, further. So that one I can probably start first. And I also deal with another YouTuber, Glendon Cameron.
Mm.
He's a business guy
Okay.
on YouTube, and he teaches how to just start. He says the same thing: just start the business. Doesn't matter. Just try to start the business. Blah blah. And just hearing what you're saying with the procrastination and me never being in business for myself, I'm using him.
Mm.
I'm in one of his courses just to understand the whole framework and all that. But the I've even read a book on LLCs and all this S corps and all that because
Mm.
I'm mostly technical. So all that
Mm-hmm.
is new to me. But the hardest part is not even that. The hardest part is the procrastination. It's just not
Mm-hmm.
starting. So I have all the ideas, and I'm here playing a video game or whatever because I know I have work tomorrow. I'm getting a steady paycheck, so I don't have to do anything not to get paid. Well, I have a
Hmm.
job, so there's really no. I mean, and it pays well, but I'm like, I still want to do my own thing.
Yeah, there's no sense of urgency. There's no
Yeah,
hunger in
exactly,
your belly.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
You're not out and homeless. And I'm just you say that I say the same thing that other guy says, and I die on that hill, the hill of doing, and that um, paralysis by analysis. I'm a technical person too, right? I'm
Hmm.
an engineer, so
Yep.
I get that. I get that part. But what I do know from experience, because I've music taught me a lot of things in terms of like seeing many musicians, being part of having different people come through my band, seeing different bands, different people start this and start that and not complete, so on and so forth. So I kind of see a through line between or through line that goes through everyone that is successful in that space.
Hmm.
Okay. And that is they just do. Okay. They just do. And it is not a question of because there is no business plan that fails on paper, right? They always succeed on paper. There is no line one, we do this, line two, we do that. Oh, line five, we failed. No, it's always, it worked out. And that's the truth about any kind of reading of books and preparing, so on and so forth. It always works out in your head. But when you jump on that bicycle, you're still gonna fall, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So just go and fall already because everybody is going to fall. No matter how much you read about the bicycle frames and gyroscopic balance and using your eyes, you're still going to fall. And when you fall is the only way you're going to learn. My claim is that most things in life, most knowledge is like riding a bicycle. Most knowledge is tacit. It's not really in books.
Hmm.
That's my big challenge, my kind of provocative thing that I like to say out there. That hey, it's mostly like riding a bicycle. Doesn't matter how much you read.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep,
All
yep.
right. Well, thank you very much, sir. And yeah, stay in, stay tuned, I should say.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
would like to see, we'd like to see some of these plans of yours come to fruition. When you start, start one of these things and go down one of these lines, it's probably going to be that training thing. I heard something in your voice when you were mentioning that training one. So
Yeah, yeah. If yeah, if it becomes a thing, I'll push it in the manosphere. I mean, the manosphere is getting is getting, there's some technical guys in the manosphere, so maybe I could talk to them too.
there
Um,
you go.
as soon as it comes into fruition, if some people are interested. All right, cool, man.
All right, Reynolds. Well, thank you very much, sir.
All right, thanks, Ike.
All
Later.
right, bye. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. This has been an hour and 45 minutes. It's been a good stream in my estimation. In my estimation, it's been a good stream talking about Stephen Pressfield's, and I will change the name, sir. I will change the name. You know what? As a matter of fact, let's do this. I'm going to do the magic of changing the name, correcting the name in the title. Okay. Press. Pressf before E, right? Stephen Pressfield. Pressfield. I think that's it. So I think I corrected the name of that. Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art. The War of Art. And what is this book about? This book is about battling resistance. This book is about battling procrastination. The book is divided, subdivided, as they say, into three parts. Three parts in this book. Okay. One part is about defining what exactly we mean by resistance. Okay. Procrastination, self sabotage, writer's block, on and on and on. What is the nature of this beastly demon? Okay. Its nature is intransigent. It does not go away. It cannot be bargained with. It will use truth and rationalization. It will use other people's resistance against you. It will use the fact that you need to go do other things. It doesn't block you from doing things that are not productive. It does not block Reynolds from playing the video games. It does not block me from making the nice meals that I like to make and sit and eat it and then have an inability to work afterwards. It does not stop us from doing any of those things. It'll allow us to drain ourselves and to dissipate, but it'll stop us from doing the important things in life. Why is it there? It is there because freedom is new. Freedom is new in human society. Freedom is a new phenomenon in human society. Okay? Freedom is absolutely new to us. Self mastery is difficult. Self mastery is not the norm. Being a slave is the norm. Having a defined role from the tribe where you get your sense of self directly is the norm. freedom and self-actualization and all those other kinds of things were for the gods and the heroes. With freedom comes the responsibility to now be your own personal hero in your personal life story. This is new. Hence, we need to fight the fight of freedom. This is the fight of freedom. This is the cost of freedom. And we have to fight it. We cannot lay back because atrophy is detrimental as a human system. Atrophy is detrimental. Atrophy leads to Xanax and all kinds of self-destructive behavior. Okay? If you actually do need Xanax, this is not medical advice. Okay, go get blah, 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 blah. Disclaimer, 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 right? But you get my point. We actually need to fight the fight. How do we fight the fight? We go pro. Simple. The third part of the book talks about the muse. Okay, the muse is the angel. The muse is the angel that helps you. Okay, how do you build the channel to channel the muse? You go pro. You start. You don't worry about the quality of the work because fighting and winning or struggling with the muse or with the demon called resistance and having one battle won, no matter how bloody it was, is more important than waiting for the perfect time to do it because that perfect time will never come. And if you lose a battle, it gets harder and harder and harder and harder and harder to ever win one or even ever face this demon. Okay? Isolation is necessary. Don't worry about the quality of the work and so on and so forth. And I took some notes here. Let me see if there's anything in my notes that I missed. Did I miss anything in my notes? Okay? Use your self-mastery skills. Use your ability to observe the feeling in your body, the image in your head, and the talk in your head to be able to fight against resistance. So today, because I'm giving you practical, uh, I'm telling you my particular state today. Today I got to do an all-nighter, for example. Also today I'm fasting. I'm not eating anything today, right? Yes, I'm drinking coffee with some cream. That might be cheating, but what I do in states like that, in situations like that, where I have to make a decision to say, hey, we're not eating today, Ike. What I do is I say it and then I stop. In other words, I make the decision. I don't have to say it out loud, right? I make the decision and then I stop and I watch my body and I watch my mind because all kinds of things are going to start happening in your body and your mind. If you tell yourself tomorrow, if Reynolds says tomorrow, I'm going to actually start on that business idea, I'm going to start this training Linux or whatever. There's going to be things going on in your body and things going on in your head. So what you do is you stop and I watch it. And why are you watching it? Because you're trying to create distance between yourself and it, your observer self and the self that is just pure feeling, image, and talk. The self that's just purely unconscious and automatic. Because if you don't watch it, it will catch up with you. It'll make you not do the thing. It'll make me eat today. It'll make me not do the all-nighter. But I don't want it to make me do that. So I've been reiterating to myself that we're not eating today and we're doing an all-nighter today. And I watch and it tries to do something in the left side of my body over here. And I feel something in my stomach. I feel a stiffness in my back. I loosen up that stiffness. I actually physically go and I stretch myself. I listen to the sound that it's making in my ear and I get used to it. The sound, the images in my head that's telling me how hard it's going to be, I get used to that. Constantly using your skills of self-mastery to fight the fight of self-mastery because we have been granted freedom in these modern times, ladies and gentlemen, and that's why we are going to play once again our theme song, Soul Rising. Soul Rising in the house. And let me check real quick. Wow, wow, wow. Look at everybody over here. Bashashar, Bashashar, thank you for the Cash App. Very, very, very much appreciated. And what is that? Is that Singe91? Thank you very much for the Cash App. And Reynold too. Reynold. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. All right. It's definitely much appreciated. It's encouragement. And hey, Ike, why do you need my $2? Why do you need my $5? Yeah, I need your $2 and your $5. Don't worry about it. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and run this out. Go ahead and get that book. Great book. Either get the paperback or go ahead and get it on Kindle or go ahead and get it on Audible, the audio version, which is what I particularly have for this book. That way I don't tire my eyes out. So let's go fight the battle within. Peace.
On the shore, relentless in the war, the legions in our hearts, shed waters in our balls, the spirit and the flesh, the emotions that arrest, the cerebral will contest, propelling the unrest. Preachers and bandits with means underhanded, the teachers pedantic and lack understanding, so sweep out the sand with the broom in your hand, stand up, make we burn Babylon, cause I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you lurking, demon searching, the spirit and the women fight the battle within, cause I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching, the spirit and the women fight the battle within. With the semblance of a blaze, with gratitude and rage, we touch another page with delirious delight, impervious to light. This vitality and might encourages the flight. Preachers and bandits with means underhanded, the teachers pedantic and lack understanding, so sweep out the sand with the broom in your hand. Stand up, make we burn Babylon, cause I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching, the spirit and the women fight the battle within, cause I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching, the spirit and the women fight the battle within. But the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching, the spirit and the women fight the battle within, cause I can give the world to you, but the falling of the curtain is for certain. Be careful where you're lurking, demon searching, the spirit and the women fight the battle within.